just been living life for the bankroll. How the saying go, got it flooded to my ankles.
Hi, Get Cracking podcast is back, and today we have another wonderful guest. Chico, hello.
Hello, how are you doing, Roman?
Doing great. And before we get to any content, any valuable information, tradition of the podcast is that everybody who comes on, they need to introduce themselves within 60 seconds.
Okay.
So please, floor is yours.
Okay, so my name is Chico Muya. I do many different things, though what I do doesn't define me, but I feel like it's a good way to describe a person. So I make videos, I'm a musician, I like talking rubbish online, and I love living, I guess, and I hope that I want to live a life that inspires people and that sort of stuff. So I'm like one of those like hopeful guys, I guess.
Cool. So good to have you. Thank you for coming in. And this episode will be a bit on a contrast, because I think my podcast is a bit more about, actual knowledge and business and a bit about money and a career. I had like recruiters coming up and like sales managers, and we spoke a lot of boring and sometimes exciting things. And then today we probably speak more music or form of art, and then more about the happiness and energy you bring.
Sweet.
So maybe straight in, like, from where do you take energy?
Energy, yeah. That's a good one. I feel like the best place for me to get energy is from myself in general. So I'm a big believer in gratitude being the most powerful tool that we have, because we live in a society where it's very easy to just go out and hang out with people and get your energy from everyone else. But the unfortunate thing about that is that there's always a time when you have to go back home. And it can sometimes feel like the walls are closing in on you, and then your energy that you were getting from people is not there anymore. Even if the evening was the best thing you ever experienced, right? So what I've started to learn is to genuinely enjoy time with myself, where time with myself is when I'm happiest, when I'm most alive, when my creativity is allowed to flow, because then it removes any limitations. So to answer your question, my energy comes from myself and from just enjoying being alive and that sort of stuff, and being creative and that sort of shit. Like, wait, I'm allowed to say that now? Yeah, I guess.
You're allowed to say anything you want.
And so that is where I get all my energy from. And also I've learned to not trust, this is gonna sound strange, but I've learned to not give that part of myself to anything outside of me. Because if you leave your fire, if your fire and your hope for doing things comes from something outside of you, if that thing is not there, then you're weak at that point, or you have nothing. You're a fire that's got no kindling to burn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, it's amazing, man. So like the reason I'm asking, because I followed your content for a bit, like, as before, and also as a preparation for this kind of thing. And also we met already once before, now we meet again. And then you share this energy. Like today you came in, you're like, yeah, what's up, man? How's it going? You're smiling, you're sharing the energy. It means that you got a lot in. So this is why I'm asking. So what is this fire, and then how you sustain it? And then what's your sharing? I think it's important. So please keep up, do more.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate it. And yeah, for sure. I think that I'm probably going to harp on this quite a lot, because I believe that it's a really important tool. It's just the ability to enjoy being with myself and to understand that just like every other human being, I've got issues. I've got emotional issues, things that are not 100% and whatnot. But I've tried very hard personally to accept those things, to understand that I'm not a perfect person.
Yeah.
And understanding that I'm not a perfect person and I do have the capacity to cause harm.
Yeah.
That means that understanding that forces me to actively choose the opposite of that. I think what a lot of people do is they make a mistake of believing that they are harmless, like mice, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I've got a different view on things. I personally believe that if you take a mouse, and I've said this on multiple occasions, if you take a mouse that can't hurt you, I guess a better way to say is which one is more moral? A mouse that can't hurt you even if it wants to, or a lion that can rip you apart, but actively chooses not to do it. You know, I think we are all lions, though some people like to think of themselves as mice. And if you take the mice story, I don't know if you've ever watched Megamind, that
probably not.
anime, but it's this loser, basically. He gets superpowers. And he was quite meek and quiet and that sort of stuff. But then he got superpowers and then he turned into a tyrant. And he started to destroy things because he didn't understand how to control his power or how not to hurt people and whatnot. I think the same thing happens in real life. If we are not actively aware of our dark side,
Right.
that we can hurt people, if we're not aware of that, the moment we get a little bit of power, we'll hurt people. That's why people get into relationships and it's like a meek, quiet dude or a woman, and then as soon as they get that power of someone relying on them, then they take advantage of it. And next thing you begin to see domestic violence and all those sort of things. But that was a long answer.
I love the analogy with that, you need to be a lion, but like a controlled lion who decides what to do and what not to do. And then ultimately we want to do good to the world, so we decide not to do bad or relieve the bad energy or the bad attitude or whatever it is. Love this. And I also think this towards what I'm going, and I think this nowadays there's a lot of confidence talks. So then I think this also aligns with the confidence. So when you are confident, it means that you can do harm, but you consciously decide not to. Even though sometimes there are these choices that, you might get further in life, you might earn more money, meet more ladies, or for us it's ladies, but for us, I just need to clarify that. I don't know why. So either way, you could have go further with some bad choices, but then you decided not to because this is how you decide because you can. Maybe just to understand you better. So have you understood your dark sides, and have you learned those?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am very aware of my faults. I don't shy away from them. I see them. I think it's actually a psychological principle, I think, by, what is his name again? I forgot his name. Yeah. But anyway, so the idea is that we all do have a dark side.
100%.
But a lot of us, we try and push the dark side away and act as though we're righteous. We somehow convince ourselves that we are good, that, we give to charity because we're just so good and whatever. I think that's a very dangerous way of living your life, because if you get put in a situation where there's no one to impress, there's no one, you don't feel very strong and whatever, you will end up destroying yourself and the people around you. I mean, you see these sort of stories in films and stuff where they get lost on an island and it was like a doctor and he was like super rich and whatever. But as soon as the rubber hits the road, they turn into a different way. So I'm perfectly aware of the fact that I'm a flawed human being. When it comes to, say, giving to charity, for example, I'd say I'd be pretty aware of the fact that how much of me wants to do this so I get seen in a nice way? How much of me is actually just doing this to make myself feel better or whatever? I have to be very real with myself.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm just living in a fantasy land, right?
Yeah.
So I believe where the redemption of humanity comes from, or the redemption of a person, is being aware of that, seeing it, and then actively choosing to do something else. I think that's where the redemption of humanity comes. It's not that we suddenly become more enlightened and better human beings. Human beings today can still do the most terrible things that we thought were only done a couple hundred years ago. Some of these things can be done today. So yeah, I think that's, for me, I'm very aware of that. But it also, it gives me a bit of, it doesn't make me feel sad, you know? It makes me feel, what's a good way of putting it? It makes me feel, if my dark side is a dark room, then me choosing something else is like a light in a candle. Like a candle in the dark, sorry. It's like a candle in the dark.
Right.
That I actively reach out to. It gives me a little bit of hope that if there's darkness, then there's light in this world.
Yeah.
I know this is super philosophical, but I guess I'm...
No, but I love it, yeah. So, I mean, and I kind of resonate with that. And also, just to build a bit on this topic, I think it's important to also admit, like when the darkness go out, or like maybe it's not life happening. So you mentioned the charity. So I can freely admit that I should have done more. But this is all purely my evaluation, and this is me evaluating my own darkness and light in me. So then I'm saying that I should have done more because I could have.
Yeah.
But maybe I did not. And then also I admit it, I acknowledge that, and I'm looking forward that partly will guide my future decisions.
Right.
So admitting and understanding this concept is the way forward. Yeah.
So what about you? Why do you do what you do? Like, what is there a driving force behind it? Is it like what gets you up in the morning, I guess?
So you mentioned, let's say, concept of fire inside.
Yeah.
So I think I do have this, and I have certain fire that just burns there and just drives me forward. And it's just the curiosity and then the wish to build something for people around me and for myself also. I'm rather selfish in this thing, that I do a lot of things that I like to do.
Right.
And then meanwhile, I try to gauge them somehow that they also bring positive, a good thing for people around me. Same with we spoke a bit about the charity. So charity, it is interesting. So frequently we have a necessity to give. That's how I feel. So sometimes me helping somebody, it's maybe not because of them, but because of me needed to help. Same way that I need food, I also need to help others. So that's what I recognize in human beings as a creatures. And I think what drives me is the wish to build something great, wish to help people, wish to help myself, and eventually see what is all about. Find ultimate happiness of the world.
Hey, we can only dream, right?
Cool, man. Oh, we've started from the hard topics today. So
no, right.
I had another podcast with Rasmus, and then your podcast would go straight after his. So it would be like 2 weeks break. And then with Rasmus, we spend a lot of time speaking about the content and content creation. So he's also in this game. And then with you, we start from like a deep
like starting from.
And then in the end, we are like, okay, but what about the content?
I think I once watched a marketing video by, I forgot what his name is. For some reason, I'm just forgetting all the names, right? And he said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Right.
Where, usually in the center of the circle, it's like what we do. We build phones, right? And then it goes out to how we build the components and why.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're doing it because you like our product.
Yeah.
Where this guy was like, we need to invert. It needs to start with why. Why do you do what you do? I do what I do because I've got a fire inside of me that I want to give to the world. Right?
Yeah.
That's like, oof, okay. Then how do you go about doing it?
What are the things that you need to kind of how you implement this fire
Exactly.
around? Yeah.
And then I think that just adds a lot more authenticity to what we do. And I'm talking as though I wrote this whole thing and I'm doing it well. No, I'm still kind of learning, and I'm in my career right now. I would say, even though I've been making videos and stuff for over a year now, I feel like I'm only just starting out now. Like, because I've been so focused on short form content.
Yeah, so you said the videos. Let's give a bit of context.
Yeah.
I have some stats from your performance. So I'll real quickly open my notes.
For sure.
And then I'll just tell everybody what we are speaking here. So you have over 70,000 subscribers in Instagram.
Yeah.
And then you have over 30,000 in TikTok. And you do mostly like sketches and then kind of expression videos. And then some of your videos are over 1 million views. And to be really precise, you have something with 4 million views and you have something with 5.6 million views.
That's kind of crazy when you say
right? And this is pure numbers.
Yeah.
And then also you started less than a year ago, like kind of precisely kind of really posting.
Yeah. I'd say it's almost exactly a year now. Yeah.
Okay. So now, once we heard the numbers, let's dive into that. So like how you feel about the journey so far?
I would say that numbers are a headache. I can't tell you how many times I've stressed about numbers.
Yeah.
Like, because you can do a video that gets 5 million views and do a video that gets hardly anything, right? So that was an interesting journey for me, trying to figure out what is the line between creating content to please other people and creating content that you want to create because you enjoy creating it. Right? And how do those two things line up? I guess it's similar to music, I guess.
How did you find it? So how was it for you?
The funny thing is I'm still not completely certain, because if I buckled down and stayed in a niche, like if I just spoke about Finland, that was my thing. Well, as an example,
this was something I wanted to ask for you. It's like, you've noticed that the videos where you can, African in Finland or like weird about Finland, or what's the difference between Africa and Finland? So those perform really well.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because it's like I can make videos where I talk specifically about Finland, and I know those will usually do pretty good. But at the same time, I've still got things I want to say that I believe in. And when those things meet in the center, it's usually really beautiful. But at the same time, if I were to err on one side, whether it's just trying to please everyone else or trying to do what I want, I would lean more to doing what I want. Right. But now I do take into account, like, okay, maybe, to be fair, I do need to be a bit better at reading analytics and seeing what videos do well and whatnot, which is what I'm going to start focusing on a little bit more on, like YouTube, long form content. So to answer your question, when it comes to numbers, in the end, numbers are numbers.
Yeah.
It feels good to be like, I've got a video where millions of people have seen me. It's nice. But unless it directly correlates with, I don't know, me kind of moving forward and perhaps opening up new revenue streams and whatever, until it kind of gets there, it's more just me practicing and trying things out and whatnot. So I'm not, I would be lying if I say I don't think about the numbers. I do. Sometimes they stress me out, especially if I release like 3 videos that don't perform as well. Then I'm like, damn it, like, why? But I just try not stress too much about it. I just want to try to be consistent and just putting stuff out.
How is it with the consistency? Last time we've seen you mentioned you do like videos every day.
Yes.
Is it still true?
Yes.
And for how long?
Yeah. As of right now, I think in about a year, if I were to guess, I'd guess there were maybe 10 times when I didn't do a video.
Okay.
So almost every day.
About a year.
Yeah, in about
So we
a
speak
year.
about like 365 days. So there's like 365 videos and roughly you miss like 10, 15.
Yeah, I'd say. I'm trying to see, because when I scroll through my Instagram, it doesn't look like 300.
No, for you don't notice that, but I'm emphasizing because I think for people who've just starting or who are thinking about starting, I mean, this is the great example of commitment.
Yeah.
So like if you could have done it, like many other people surely can, and then you have your hobbies, you have your friends, you have your family, you have your job, you need to earn money, and then with lots of things that you're busy with, you still been capable of doing this many videos, and then this is partly why you have a result like you have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's also, I feel like there's a fundamental mental shift that needs to happen, where for me now, do you know what rings through my head? No one will help me get to where I want to. There's no one, even the people who wish me the best, absolutely no one. No one understands what the point of life is. No one really knows what the hell we're doing here.
Right.
Like, no one knows anything.
Yeah.
So in that space where I'm here for a little bit of time on this planet, so far as we know, why not just do something that I want to do and to just be consistent about it? And also I read this book called it's about habits. It's about creating habits. And what this guy was talking about in this book is that he said that a lot of people like to look at themselves in the mirror, like, you've got this whole manifest your future kind of thing where people look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, I'm rich, mentally, and maybe part of me is like, yeah, that's nice, whatever. But you're basically lying to yourself, right? Because you're not rich. He was saying the better thing to do is to create a habit so that, say, if I do push-ups every day, then when I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I'm healthy and fit, even if I'm not healthy and fit completely, right, then my habits testify on my behalf to tell me that, yep, you are telling the truth. So when it comes to content creation, when I was hardly putting out videos and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I'm a talented content creator, I'm lying because I'm not actually doing it. Up until recently, I couldn't call myself a YouTuber because I was putting out videos once every month or two or whatever. But I realized that creating a habit, even if it's small, and this is what people sometimes forget, they try and do a lot at once.
Yeah.
It's much better to do small little things and to understand that it won't be perfect.
Yeah.
Creating videos, I understand that hey, some videos are not going to do well, right?
100%.
Even if it's a few in a row, the best thing I can do is just make more videos and get confident with the process of creating videos.
Yeah, 100%. And also, we speak about this now in the beginning of 2024, and this is also like the pitfall, like, most of us like fall into, like 2024. Yes, this new me. I do this big chunk of things like now in the beginning of a year, and then I skip after that.
Yep.
So, and then this is exactly what you said. So breaking it down and doing this consistently and creating the habit and doing through this whole year, doesn't matter, is it 2024 or 25 or pre-23 year, or like is it January or February? No, I mean, like, you figure out your pattern, you do it, and then you can cherish the results and get something out from that. And then just to give a context about the performance of the videos, have there been a video which performed like really bad recently for you?
Yeah, just yesterday, I think.
But how many views? Like roughly.
Let me just say it got just under 200 likes.
Yeah. And then what's your like average likes?
If I were to say average, I'd say average lowball. I'd say if I minus all the really big videos, I'd say maybe 900, 1,000 likes.
Yeah, so it's way worse.
Yes.
So you have roughly 1,000 likes per video, like on the video you perform, and it's less than 200.
Yeah,
so,
because some videos, if my video reaches around 500 likes, I'm usually chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
But
like, whatever.
again, this is example of like sometimes you do things that don't perform well, but then it's fine. You accept it, and then you move on and you do something better next time.
Exactly, because I won't lie, I still get imposter syndrome.
Really?
Yeah, where I'm like, maybe no one actually likes what I do.
Yeah.
And
Hey, do people recognize you in the street? Like you?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do they get selfies?
Sometimes, yeah. There's been a few times where I'm just chilling and someone's like, "Are you Chico Muya?" And I'm like, "Of course." I'm half kidding, but in general, it's quite interesting when people come and say something. I really like it. I don't feel like I deserve it, but I'm more happy to just meet people. And the fact that what you see on social media is me. Like what I create is actually the shit that I say I believe. So there isn't a disconnect when someone sees me in real life and they're like, hey, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, yo, you exactly how I imagine. I'm like, well,
That's so good.
What else am I supposed to be like, right? So,
but this is the point. This is why I think your content resonates, because it's you. You're authentic. You are there. You're putting yourself out, and then I think people see that. Okay, he's not lying. It's kind of him. His things. He's sharing what he thinks, and
exactly. Though people do get really offended if you share something that they disagree with.
Yeah.
And I've had a few runs in with that, and it's like,
have there been something in real life somebody would kind of really kind of share your like disagreement about something from your content in the real life?
As of right now, thankfully not.
Right.
But I remember I did 2 videos. There's been around 3 videos, maybe 4 videos where I said something that at least I didn't think was controversial, but some people really didn't like it. And thankfully, I think it's because of the nature of living in a country like Finland, people are not willing to, be right up in your face and be like, bro, I saw your video, like, what is it? So nothing like that, thankfully. And I try and give breaks between really controversial things I talk about in general. And also, the thing that has really messed with my mind is understanding this. Not everyone will like you. People, I know it sounds... I'm a happy guy. I make videos and usually it's completely positive a lot of the time. But I realize that no matter what you do, there will always be people who will be like, yo, you're full of shit. Or you are fake. And people can be really mean online, right? But the thing about that is the fact that, hey, I'm the one making the videos. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're coming on my platform, on my video.
True. This is like your profile, your channel, and you are making your videos. And like, dude, you're coming over to me to sell that I'm like full of shit. Thank you.
It's like, I'm not making my video for you.
Right.
Like, what are you going on about?
No, and it happens. And also, I just like to highlight that it's like it shouldn't stop anyone from like putting themselves out, because it is important. And if people feel like they want to create, they want to share themselves, like real them, like like you'll be hated like I am, like you are, you know. I think I'm just pissing off some people, surely.
Really?
For sure.
Oh yeah, you mean just like in life in general? Yeah.
In life or the content and everything.
Yeah.
It's just normal. I feel you about that.
I would definitely. It's like something I try and the direction I want to go into for me is that there are so many subjects and so many things that talking about them is taboo, or there's a general consensus, or even a manufactured general consensus of believing something about a certain subject. And if you step out of that, that's where the whole being cancelled and all that stuff comes from, right? I think that is very dangerous for humanity. I genuinely, from the deepest part of who I am, as the world becomes more digitalized and as people begin to get most of their information from the online world, I think this is the most important time to say what you believe. Even if in time it's proven wrong, at the very least you can be like, yeah, I stood by what I believed in and I spoke about it. And I think that is essential for humans going forward, you know, and I genuinely believe that, and I'm trying my hardest not to self-censor.
And you know what else is important? I think it's important to spread the knowledge, especially on the controversial topics.
Yep,
and then,
I agree.
So I feel you. So there are maybe certain topics which maybe like me or some other people, we are not aware, or I don't have enough knowledge. So I wish it will be comfortable to ask and get the knowledge without being kind of punished for the question or punished for like not knowing, because it is actually worse to not know. And maybe like me in my head, I just assume some things, I kind of create something, and I'm scared to ask you, for example, like, you know,
right?
And then I'm like, shit.
That's a bit wild, because I feel like there needs to be spaces for people to ask questions that can be seen as the wrong question, right? And it should not be an issue to question.
For example,
anything.
so you went through this in your podcast. You've been on another podcast, and then you spoke quite a bit about racism, and you shared a lot. I think you also shared some of it in your sketches, and also you had some sketches with a historical breakdown of some happenings. I will not name because I might be like wrongly remembering. But then, so what are other topics you feel that we should be discussing more, or like you want to discuss more?
Oh, some of these topics I'm still kind of mulling over them, but I think something that I've noticed, and I'm still reading about this and trying to figure it out, is that I think people have a very narrow view of issues, where, take historical issues or whatnot, I feel like people always kind of break it down to just oppressor and oppressed. And that's the conflict. That's the only way you can describe it. It could be for anything, right? So say the transatlantic slave trade. It was a horrible thing. I would never dispute that. And it can be argued that there's still effects from that to this day, right? And it's true. But I've heard everything about it and whatever. But if for someone who's just studying history and wanting to know about the complexities of it, you know, I would get into trouble also adding the fact that, hey, do you know that there were African tribes that were selling their slaves to the slave trade? So there were black people selling black people to the white people.
Crazy.
Saying that is like, dude, why are you saying that? And also, since we're in that same sort of subject, you've heard of the transatlantic slave trade. Have you ever heard of the Arab slave trade at all?
I'm not sure about Arab exactly, but then the slave trade in general in those times was like quite a thing.
Yeah,
So I'm not surprised that there is another kind of clusters.
Yeah. So the Arab slave trade was basically, it was run by the Arab countries, right? But that lasted for 13 centuries.
Huge.
Almost as many, and some would argue more, almost as many people died and there was suffering and stuff in the Arab slave trade for 1,000 something years, right? What effect did that have on Africa and on African people, right? And the reason why there aren't black descendants or many black descendants in Arab countries is because the men were neutered. Like they stopped the men from being able to have kids and that sort of stuff. And it's also terrible. But for me, seeing that, but for a lot of people who see that, it's very difficult to talk about because it's not so clear as like, white people and black people. You see, now it's like brown people and black people. Anyway, transatlantic slave trade, and I'm not pushing that down. It was pretty crazy. But I think that way of viewing the world makes people kind of like, I don't know, we kind of retelling history in our own way. Yeah. And I think it leaves off the main fact, which is no people of a certain skin color are more evil than anyone else. Humans, when given the opportunity, can do really terrible things. And the quicker we all understand that, the better we'll be able to sort things out, because how often do you hear people, how often do protests happen against gang violence? Not very often. But say in America, a policeman kills someone, massive protest. Yeah, straight up. Right? And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying that
it happens,
Yeah, like you hear about Israel and Gaza, people going crazy about that, and it is crazy. But then in Yemen and Syria, you've got I think it's been over 500,000 people that have died in 10 years. Where are the protests? Because it's not so clear as it's white people. And now it's, so I know those are weird historical things, but I'm just saying that I think that way of thinking bleeds into our society. And then you get into when it comes to racism and stuff, it does exist. I'm not disputing that. But I think it's I feel like society somehow need to start moving towards more colorblind policies where you get the job because you know how to do the job, not because you look a certain way.
Do you see these tendencies?
Yeah, in general. I mean, it's all online in America. And you even get for films, you get people hey, we hired a black actor. I'm like, I don't care. Is the movie good? If it's good, I don't care if the person's blue. It's all good. And I'm not saying that if certain demographics are not well represented. I think a better way of doing it is to now invest in those communities and get the people to be lifted up so that they can compete on the same
level. To highlight that, studying, understanding, reviewing and discussing is not the same as, evaluating, or it's not the same as agreeing. Right. So, exactly. So it's really two different things. And then we as a human beings, we should do actually both. Right. But then the first one where you study, where you discuss, when you kind of, spar on the topics, and then you dig down to the certain topics, and then you bring up the goods and bads and difference. And is it about the trades of people, or it's about the wars, or it's about the perception of wars, or whatever it is, then you can do that. You should be able to freely do it in a modern world. So
do you feel, especially doing long form content like this, do you ever feel afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing?
Always. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's strange, right?
This why it is like now it is super interesting to kind of speak about that. And you mentioning this cancellation culture. So it's with the content now when we are being recorded and it goes live, then it is a kind of threat for, let's say, for me and for my brand and for everything I do, how people will like, know and see me. But also the same happens in the real life when we are in the bar with people and we're just discussing, and then I might just say a fact that I've read, and I might not even state that this is 100% true. I just say, okay, I've read this and this and this, and then for that, some people might already, just kind of downgrade me or like, disagree, and then they're just gonna cancel me in real life. Whereas I've just shared something I've read. Maybe I was not even that invested in this topic. So it's terrible. It happens, man.
It does happen, right? And I think that's why for me, on this journey of trying to be self-sufficient financially, is that I'm trying to do it because I don't want the risk of just losing everything because I said something that people disagreed with. Because that's why online I watch a lot of people who they say what they believe, but you can't cancel them because they're making money in their own way.
Right.
They'll be all right. So I think that's why, to be honest, there are certain subjects I probably haven't spoken on because I'm like, you're not ready for that. Like, you're not ready for that.
I get you about that, yes. But cool, but also, let's shift the gears a bit. And we spoke a lot about like, the deep things, and let's pick something like more chill, more pleasant. So you're a musician, and you do a lot of music.
Not as much as I would like.
How much you'd like to do?
I would like to be releasing a song a month.
Song a month, right? How is it? How's the process now? How frequently you release the song?
My last release was a year ago.
A year ago.
So
do you have some drafts and like some ideas?
Yes. And well, because I took a break from music to focus on creating videos, because I just looked at my social media and I was like, I'm sharing songs and no one gives a shit. Like no one. Even my friends are not liking my videos. So I took a break from music to focus on becoming good at content creation. Because in the past, I believed I had to be one thing, musician. But now, with the way the world is going, I feel like people buy your vibe and anything that comes with that. And sure, some people might prefer my speaking videos, but there will be a portion of those people who enjoy my singing and that sort of stuff. So now that I feel like I've gotten better at content creation, now the plan is to get back to creating music now.
Have you heard of Connor Price?
Oh, yeah.
You know the guy?
Yeah, his videos are great.
You should try something like he does.
Yeah, at least for the songs I'm working on now, I'm trying to create 3 songs.
Right.
I've created demos of them, and I'm speaking to a producer to help me restructure some of the songs and stuff. But hopefully in the next 2 months, the release process will start.
But so, like, why I'm mentioning Connor? Because he, I think, forerunner of this kind of new internet-first music.
Yeah.
So it's really not the same as like a typical releasing with the producer, with the label, and kind of, earning somehow through Spotify things. But then he does it somehow internet first, and he does those sketches, and then they're like in TikTok and Instagram, and then they go to Spotify. And also I heard he got a lot of free music, so he does money somehow differently. But as a concept, and it sounds like it would fit your kind of performance, because you do content already. It is maybe not that much music related, but you do content.
Yes.
And then you do music. So like on their intersection, you'll get same model as he gets.
Yeah. I have demoed it.
Right.
And some of them work, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I would need to, especially with the music that I'm doing.
You should reach out to him. Have you seen the videos? He does this, like, the globe thing when
Oh,
he does
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Maybe this what you should do.
Yeah,
Damn, that would be so cool.
It's true. I mean, I would want to get to a point where I start promoting my music like that. But right now, it's so weird. I'm sure you understand this. I've got so much on my plate. I feel like I'm like, there's so much I want to do.
Right.
So I almost feel like I have to push the brakes on certain things. Like even on Instagram, I'm thinking of slowing down my releasing of videos just so I have a little bit more time where, no, to be honest, I don't think I will slow down, but like at the very least, I will try and make the creation process easier. And we spoke before we started filming about trying to get someone else to help me edit videos and that sort of stuff. I'm in the process of, I somehow need to get a team around me because it seems like my brand does have some value because people follow me.
It's not. It's you who have value.
Yes,
I think
yes,
you
exactly.
are creating it, and now we actually have seen that it works and it's valuable. So.
Exactly. So now it's just like I have to believe in myself.
Yeah.
And to stop listening to my imposter syndrome telling me that, like, who are you to think that you can create a whole brand that is fun and free and you talk about what you want and it's whatever, and you can also do music and be performing live and traveling around the world, having podcasts with people, talking to different interesting people all over the world. Like, I want to do all of that.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day we'll watch back this video and be like, yo, bro, remember that?
Yeah.
So how about you? How are you finding the process of trying to build an empire, if you will?
It's hard from the focus perspective.
Right.
There are so many things kind of happening, and there are so many things I'd like to contribute, I'd like to build. And then I also have, I try to do business and I'm doing business. And then in there, like in the business field, I have a problems from brain and business understanding that I see something, I do some calculations or I look forward or speak with people and then I understand, okay, it's not going to work out. And then I don't go further. So like really frequently, I don't even fail to understand that it's kind of, lost case that I need to close it. So
you're a numbers guy.
I cancel, like not really numbers, but I'm kind of strategic in understanding what I'm doing. Okay. So I like to look forward, like, several steps ahead. And then if it doesn't lead where it kind of should lead, then, I don't necessarily go there. So this may be one of my problems. And then the focus that I would love to take something and purely focus on it and then get it to like, the ultimate level, hopefully, or this is what people suggest.
Right.
Now I'm on a balancing act. So I do different things and I try to focus. But then they have all different value for me. And in the future, I want to be maybe same but different. I think it sounds like super odd what I say now, but same but different, meaning that I still want to do many things because it feels fun. It feels fun to contribute through the podcast and discussion. It feels fun to do some short videos. It feels fun to, speak with people about some new business opportunities or like try to build my own company or, check in. I was telling you about our marketing and venture with my previous project that we've been running. It was also fun, even though I'm not that much of a marketer to go into marketing. But it was fun to try and experience it. So I want to continue with that. It's not easy, man.
Yeah, no, I completely feel you. And you have somehow managed to at least grow a bit of a team around you, right?
Yeah, so to some extent. So I am part of certain teams where we are kind of working towards something. So this helps. So I'm growing the network more and more, so people I can rely on. And then there is a lot of barter relationship. So I might be helping with my connections or my time or my resources to some other people, and then they are helping with something else. And then also I have there's Nikolai, who is now helping me with the video editing, so he'll be producing shorts. And then also we have an intern now, and then she's working for some of my projects and some projects of my partners. And then
That's really cool. How does one get an intern?
you just say that you need an intern. Now Chico needs an intern, please.
No, because at least on the video side of things,
Right.
I haven't created an actual business around that.
So
Which that needs to change ASAP, like for me.
yeah, so for example, for me, my video thing, they also, like, my content does not generate any money. So it's only, I'm just spending for new equipment, for the video editor, so it just minus, but then I'm generating money in somewhere else. So then you just redirect the streams. This is kind of one thing you could do. Or then also with the barter relationship. So you surely can teach and kind of supervise a lot, and you're a bright human being who would be super useful for somebody like maybe in the beginning in their journey. So I would imagine that if you would, team up with somebody who is like 18 years old, just finished the school, and then pursuing content and video editing career, so you can help build the portfolio, the brand, and teach the life, introduce to the cool people, help maybe with the job, help with the projects. So you can bring this value versus this person who is 18 years old.
Yeah.
He can give you his or her time with the video editing, for example.
Yeah, I've actually got someone like that in my day job. I work with a young guy, a really cool guy, and we work really well together in terms of video editing. And I was talking to him about bringing him onto the Chico Muya team, I guess.
Man, you'd be surprised how much people love to contribute. I do a lot of things for free, and I feel there are plenty of other people who are also do a lot of free things to contribute and get something non-monetary back.
Yeah, I'm gonna after this chat, obviously, I'm definitely gonna sit down and write some concrete plans, because after talking to you, I was just like, wow, I cannot be doing all of this editing on my own, and because I don't feel like I'm generating enough money to pay someone else right now, but I don't mind even, I don't know, using less money on other things, just to be able to get that little boost in video creation.
It is such an important, you heard of the Parettlo law. So there's 20%. So then when you focus on, so there is only 20% actually in everything you do that actually generates all the outcomes kind of behind the things you do. So ultimately what you do, you focus on the 20 all the time. And what you do with 80, some of the 80% you cannot just let go because they need to happen, but then you outsource it. You ask other people to do, you delay them, or you focus on 20, you leave, and then you focus again on 20. And this is how you actually grow the brand, the company, the business, and whatever there is. I have some book recommendations. I'm gonna share you.
Send it to me. Yeah.
And something else I'd like to highlight. So it is so cool, like, to speak to you, because we are, like I said in the beginning, that we are from a bit from the different worlds, and we are taking care of different things, and we have different agenda, and then we think differently, kind of, so to say. So this is why it is important for me to kind of listen to you, get your perspective, get your energy, and then this is how you're gonna help me with my problems, my thoughts, and then same for you. And then, like, I'm trying to project you systems and kind of some Parettlo laws. And like, you're like, what the heck, man? But yes.
because I'm kind of like, now since we're talking on the business side of things, I'm like wondering how. I guess first and foremost, we're saying I need to focus on not one thing at a time, but I need to focus on 20% of each thing. So when it comes to like video creation for myself, the plan is to slowly build like my YouTube channel and that sort of stuff, and get someone else to edit my videos for me. But it will also be cool to do something like making videos for companies, other companies or something like that. But I don't know. I'm just thinking
But
on
I
air.
think you have some good ideas. Maybe let's sit down and spar on that. Like,
for sure.
when we have a bit of more time.
Yeah,
But,
that's all right.
Like
Yeah.
there are some good ideas I sense there. I think we've been chatting already for quite a while.
It means it was good. I'm sure we can come again at some point.
100%. Before we wrap up, do you have anything like, last minute notes or something you'd like to share to anybody who is like listening now?
Yeah, I think the only thing I will say is to understand the fact that gratitude is your biggest tool. Simple. And gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a practice. It's like going to the gym. It's something that you have to put time aside for. It makes life so much more pleasant. You still go through rubbish, you still feel down, you still feel everything. But instead of being sucked into the black hole of believing that there's no point to anything that we do and that life is meaningless, gratitude is like it's like the bird leaving the ground. It gives you real perspective. And once you start giving yourself perspective like, oh, my business is not working, but you're like, hey, I exist. I'm alive. What are the chances of me being here? Actually, the earth is floating around in space, surrounded by stars, with an ever-expanding nothingness that we call space. And I'm here, right? I think that is the best place to start. Everything else comes from there, in my opinion. Yeah.
This is huge. I agree about that.
Yeah.
This is so good. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective, your wisdom. I just wish you, from myself and from everybody who's listening, I think they just agree with me. Otherwise, they wouldn't listen till that far.
Yeah, then they missed all
Man,
that stuff.
so keep on cracking, I would say. Keep on firing, keep on sharing your things, and keep on creating. I think you have a lot of good things coming your way. So all the best to you. Thank you so much for joining. Everybody go subscribe to Chico Muya Official.
Yes, Chico Muya Official.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube is getting huge nowadays. So everybody go to YouTube.
Yeah. Let's get those likes up, guys.
Likes up. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a review to this episode. Go follow me and then the podcast page on Instagram. And till the next time. See you. Bye.
Bankroll, how the saying go, got it flooded to my ankles, need a raincoat.
Pair of boots and a dang bow, gotta stay flow. I might pull up in a stagecoach playing Beethoven.
Whoa.